I am Ray Hanania with Ariel Gold from Code Pink. Ariel, first of all, tell me what your role is with Code Pink, and what is Code Pink?
Sure. So I am the National Co-Director of Code Pink. We are a women-led grassroots organization that opposes war and militarism and seeks to bring those tax dollars, bring that money wasted on death and destruction, and reallocate it for life-giving needs like education and healthcare. And that's how working as for the Palestinian struggle came to be part of our work.
Now, you don't just obviously support Palestinian and Middle East and Muslim issues. You support a lot of issues across the country, don't you? Give us a couple examples so people know the extent of your activism.
Sure, we're an anti-war organization, and we work wherever the U.S. is engaged in supporting or carrying out wars. We do work to oppose U.S. sanctions on Venezuela, North Korea, on Iran, and we work around the globe.
Now, you've taken the initiative actually to lead this letter that's been signed by over about 100 or more organizations that are supportive of the Palestinians and Israel, a fairness, that are Muslim, Arab, Christian, Jewish, and groups that have nothing directly to do with the Middle East like your own, other than wanting peace and justice. Why do you think, first of all, why did you take the initiative to do this? Because there's so many Arab groups and Muslim groups that have done things like this in the past. Has it given it a stronger voice, do you think, that it comes from you?
I think this is a unique moment. We have watched we are watching a dramatic shift in public opinion among Democrats and even among American Jews. A change from unquestioned support for Israel to increasing willingness to criticize the actions of Israel and to look at the role the U.S. plays in propping up that regime. And, I think while Bernie Sanders was in the election, he was much more than a candidate. He was a movement, and it was a real inspiration to so many people that politics were changing and there were these openings for foreign policy. And I think a lot of people, myself included, felt fairly hopeful when Sanders suspended his campaign, fairly hopeful at the idea that Biden would have to court the rest of the Democrats. And that doing so, he would shift a little bit, move a little bit more to the left. But then when I saw his statements coming out, his positions towards Israel, I thought, is he trying to compete with Trump to show he can be almost as hawkish? And I was really appalled by it. But then I watched this moment in time. So Biden released this statement, and it also referred to Palestinian choices. But there was such a backlash on Twitter, people so upset at the dehumanizing language he was using to describe Palestinians, that there was outrage about it, and he removed that word. That word was removed from the statement, which shows that there is an opening and we really can apply that pressure. And so the goal of this letter, and we sent it both to the Biden campaign and to the Trump campaign as well, is to pry that opening up more and work towards a foreign policy towards Israel and the Palestinian struggle that's up to date with American opinion.
And just to clarify, because I think the audience needs to understand that, when I say that this movement has support from Christians, Muslims, and Jews, a lot of the organization are Jewish American organizations
Jewish Voice for Peace, as well as some other organizations. I am an American Jew, and that's how I personally got involved in this issue. And I've seen in my own family, in the experiences that my children, who are now teenagers, have had, how people have become more aware of what's happening in Palestine and no longer want to see the U.S. enabling that.
And also, I think it's important to point out, being Jewish, being Palestinian Christian, a lot of Muslims, and a lot of Americans who are not Jewish or Arab that support all this. This is about criticizing Israel's government policies, correct? We're not criticizing Israel as Israelis. We're not criticizing Palestinians. We are looking at those policies.
Sure, and in this case, what we're really looking at is U.S. policy.
Right.
We are looking at an endless supply of aid. And aid is such the wrong word
right.
for this, because this is military assistance. Right. So we are criticizing the unquestioned military assistance to Israel. We are calling on, for example, the Biden and Trump to support the legislation in Congress, Betty McCollum's legislation to end military detention of Palestinian children. So we're calling for actually adherence to U.S. law and for applying the principles that we profess to believe in as Americans of human rights and equality.
And you have 100 signatories representing 100 big organizations, probably most of the organizations that represent the movement for fairness for both sides, Palestinians and Israelis. What impact do you think this will have on Biden? I mean, what message does it send to Biden? Because I believe it almost sounds like the emphasis is on him. He said he was going to support most of Bernie Sanders' positions, but when it came to Palestine and the Middle East, it seemed like he kind of pushed those aside. Is the message specifically to remind him that he needs to really reach out? Or what's the message you think that Biden should get out of this?
I think Biden is incredibly out of touch. So along with referring to Palestinian choices, Biden has also been bragging about his involvement in U.S. military assistance to Israel being increased at the end of the Obama administration.
Right.
So I think this is a question where he's out of touch, and it's also a moment for the larger American public to see where we want our government to go.
Has there been a response from either Trump or Biden yet?
Not yet, but it's just recently been sent, and so we are hoping to get some meetings.
It just went out. Now,
Yeah.
Are you hopeful that President Trump might respond, or is that kind of a lost cause?
I'm a little less hopeful myself.
But you do think that it might have an impact on Biden? Because, I mean, what
We certainly hope so.
have? What option do we have? I mean, with if Biden doesn't respond properly, and Trump, I really doubt, personally, I don't think he's going to respond. He hasn't shown, for a lot of reasons, any real effort to do anything for a balanced Middle East approach. But what do we do if they don't respond? Does this letter create a moment where, it's like, wow, here's what the reality of what politics is in America. If we don't get a response, that's troubling, isn't it?
Well, we don't give up from lack of response, and we will continue to pressure our government and Congress to support Palestinian rights.
And any other thoughts about the aspects of the letter that you think you want to drive home that people should understand? What are some of the most important points that the letter makes inside, in addressing Trump and Biden?
I think what's most important here is that what we need to get across is the importance of international law and abiding by international law, whether that is the United States not putting sanctions on the International Criminal Court or pressuring our friends in Israel to abide by international law.
All right, Ariel Gold, co-director of Code Pink, and taking the time to speak with us to help us understand this letter, which I think is very significant, representing a lot of strong voices here in the United States. And I hope you get a response. If you do get a response, we definitely want to hear what it is.
We will let you know.
Ariel, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.